Wow, this week was pretty wild, and we've got a ton of stuff like dead birds, prisoners who conjure magic, there's possessions with creatures that are all over the place, and so much more. So let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're doing my weekly watched list. That's everything that I decided to watch this week that I pick and chose to share with you. Now, if your first time is today on this channel, be sure to subscribe, because if you're looking for horror movies or movies in general that are of the cult variety, this is going to be the place you're going to come to find all the stuff nobody else is talking about. So grab a pen, let's get ready. I will give you all the places to watch this online, and all the links are going to be down below for you to pick up physical media. So let's get into it. First up, we have Dead Birds. Dead Birds. Yeah, that sounds like a really weird name, right? This is a movie that was written by Simon Barrett, who I'm sure many of you know as the guy who did You're Next, Blair Witch, Azrael that just came out this last year, and so many more movies. But it was directed by Alex Turner, who went on to do one more movie called Red Sands that I have not seen, and that's it. So what is this movie all about? Well, I was kind of looking for something that would be in the Old West variety with horror. So I was looking for something like that, and I remembered, yeah, there was that one movie called Dead Birds that I watched years ago. So this is a story about a group of Confederate soldiers who have defected and have taken up robbing banks. They take over a bank, steal a bunch of gold, and then go to an old abandoned plantation to hide out for a couple of days. Once they get settled in, they find out that they walked into a house that's haunted as fuck and full of bad jump scares and CGI. Now, it's not all bad, but the CGI is a little dated and it is not as up to date as I would like. There is a story here, even if it's convoluted, doesn't make a lick of sense, and it has some sort of crazy atmosphere and style about it that I was not expecting. Plus a twist at the end that you might like. Now, this is pretty chock full of great actors in here. We've got Henry Thomas, who played Elliot in E.T., Patrick Fugit, who is in the Outcast TV series, Michael Shannon, a very young Michael Shannon, playing a racist traitor who he was in The Shape of Water and many other films that you've seen him in. He's got that accent and talks like, you know. A lot of cast in this movie. The story is a little all over the place. Basically, it's just an excuse to get people into a haunted house situation where a lot of jump scares and a lot of really creepy stuff is happening in the house. There's a subplot of some sort of like voodoo magic, which is like, you know, ridiculous. They were practicing it on slaves and so much more. But despite all of that, it's actually kind of atmospheric and moody. The performances in it are better than average, so it's not too bad. And it was kind of a nice rewatch. You know, I actually kind of enjoyed it. There's something about this story and the twist at the end that I kind of like, and it's not the best watch in the world, but I still really enjoy it. And I like that twist, like I said, at the end of the movie that kind of make this a little bit more and stand out than a lot of other really crappy horror films. And this kind of pushes it into a 6 out of 10 for me. Not one of Simon Barrett's best written films. It's actually one of his first, but I still really enjoy it, and I thought it was a fun time. You can actually watch it on Prime or Peacock, and I'll put a link down below for a DVD copy. Up next, we have Malefique, which essentially translates to evil presence. And man, I had never heard of this movie before. This is a movie from 2002 that is a French film that was or is on Shudder. I'm not even entirely sure. If you subscribe to Shudder through Prime, you can actually watch this movie on there. But I went to Shudder to try to find this movie on the subscription that I used through their own actual app. Could not find it. So This DVD was given to me by Resolution. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this movie. This is probably one of the most unique films I've seen in a long time. Not only is the practical effects and things in this movie really interesting and fun, but the story is some of the most unique thing I've ever even conceived. It has a story about 4 prisoners who are all trapped in this prison for various different crimes, and they find a diary in the wall of the cell, which might be the key to getting out of the prison. Now, each of the prisoners in this movie have different things that are pretty bad. The main guy who joins this cell of people who are already there, these 3 other guys. Rich guy who tried to get out of paying taxes or scam people or something like that. And so he's just serving a short stint in the prison and gonna get out anyway because his wife's gonna pay the bail money, and he's like, whatever, I really don't care. And then some of the other guys, one guy killed his wife because he went crazy after reading a bunch of books. Another person who is a trans woman, or actually in the process to become one, and is also kind of a bully in the jail cell to everyone there, including this one other guy who's in the cell, who is this kid who's, you know, something's wrong up here, and he has this weird habit of eating everything that he sees. And yeah, he's in there for eating a baby. Not joking. All 4 of these guys are in there. They find this book and they decide that they're going to try to get out. And what happens and what you see in this movie is much more supernatural, meta, mind expanding, and crazy. It almost feels like a episode of like Twilight Zone, but darker and more messed up. The practical effects look like something out of Screaming Mad George's like playbook, like Society. There's some really crazy stuff that happens in this movie, and I honestly am all about it. Like, this was a really big surprise. I would give this movie like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe even an 8. It's just that unique. I really enjoyed it. It's by director Eric Valette, who did the One Missed Call remake from the Japanese series. You just need to watch it. It's not on anything but Shudder through Prime, but I'll put a link down below in case you want to pick it up on DVD. Highly recommend. Up next, we have Madhouse, which is a movie that was also gifted to me to check out, and I had never seen before. So this is from 2004. This is by director William Butler, who is an actor, writer, producer, and director. You know, he basically started out as an actor and then became everything else. He actually went on to do Ginger Man 2 and 3, Demonic Toys 2, Personal Demons, the new Baby Oopsie movies. This movie stars a lot of people, but to give you an idea before that what this story is about, it's about this young psychiatric intern who's going to this madhouse, which they don't really even have in the 2000s, mind you. They kind of shut them all down in like the late 80s and 90s, I think, because they were doing some pretty heinous things to the patients, and there was some laws against it. For the sake of this movie, he's interning at a madhouse or a mental health facility, and he finds out that there's a lot of crazy shit going on in this place. Not only are the people inside of it crazy, but there is some darker secrets that are going on that have a past that he may or may not be entangled with. The sort of catch or the ending, you know, the like twist is not very good. This movie does have some good things and it has some bad things in it. Like, there is a pretty decent effort of trying to make this more of a mainstream movie. They do have quite the cast to try to bring that to fruition, and they even do some practical effects in the movie to spice it up and make it look good. There's a lot of style over substance in this movie, but the style is a little dated for today, if that makes sense. But at the time, this would have kind of slid right into, you know, a mainstream budget, almost to the theater, but probably direct to video. We got stars of The Blair Witch Project, Joshua Leonard, Jordan Ladd, who was in Cabin Fever and Death Proof. Lance Henriksen's in this. He's doing one of the head mental ward people. Leslie Jordan is also in this from Chasing Goes to Hell movie and Ski Patrol. Remember this scene?
Algiers Watusi growth formula.
And we get a little cameo from Natasha Lyonne. She just grabbed a check and said, I'm done. You know, it's not that great, but if you remember her, she's been in that Russian Doll TV show on Netflix. But yeah, this is not one of her best performances. The ending of this movie, I was not very fond of. Joshua Leonard, who was from the Blair Witch, I was not feeling him in this particular movie. I've seen him in other movies that he does much better at. This one, man, this is cringy stuff. It's kind of in a so bad it's good way in some regards, and also just kind of good in some other ways. I would probably give this one like a 4.5 out of 10, just because it does have practical effects. The actors that are in it, I do enjoy, even if I'm not a fan of Joshua's performance. It still has something about it that's kind of eerie and interesting, so there is sort of a vibe about it, but it feels way too long and it went on forever. But yeah, I still am glad that I own this movie just to have it. I may throw it on again sometime in the future. You can watch this one on Prime or on Freevee, and I'll put a link down below if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. Up next, we have He Never Died. Henry Rollins, who plays the lead actor in this movie, who obviously was in a few horror movies, and, you know, like Johnny Mnemonic, he was in Feast, and he's also the lead singer of Black Flag, the punk band. And yeah, that's pretty awesome, actually. This one came out in 2015, and it's one of those movies where awkward guy is being very awkward to humans all around him. He wakes up one day and finds out that he has a daughter from a woman who he hates. He's not real nice to them, and they have this kind of weird relationship, but he gets to know her enough that he kind of feels bad for her. This guy gets himself into a lot of trouble, and you start to find out really quick when someone breaks into his house and attacks him that he's kind of a badass, and he doesn't fuck around, and he doesn't really care much about anything, including his daughter, until he gets to know her. There's something more going on in the background of this story. He's thrust out of his comfort zone of playing bingo and going to a diner every day to order the exact same thing every single time. When these guys come in and that girl shows up, that's his daughter, things really start to change, and you start to find out a lot more about this guy that is much more supernatural or even religious. I won't spoil the best part about it, but it is a fun movie to watch. It's a little flawed, not perfect. Henry Rollins does a good job of playing that awkward guy who's also a badass in it. I would have loved to see a sequel with him in it. And the director of this movie, Jason Kralzik, who actually wrote and directed this movie, actually did make a sequel called She Never Died, but I never did get to see it. Is it any good? Anyone? We even also get Stephen Ogg in this movie from The Walking Dead and one of his most recent films, Scared Shitless. It's really easy to watch. It makes you want more, and you really don't get completely satiated by the ending in it. This movie's actually pretty violent and a lot of blood, and there's a lot of gore and a lot of really funny moments in the film that make you kind of root for Henry Rollins' character, who you find out later on is this like really famous guy that you're never gonna guess who he is. But by the end, you're gonna be like, what? How does that work? I don't really understand. It's a little confusing, but you know, but it's a lot of fun, and I think you should check it out if you get an opportunity to. I would give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can watch it on Netflix or pick up a copy down below. Up next, we have The Possession of David O'Reilly, or in Britain, it's actually The Torment. Now, this is a movie that I think is a great hidden gem that a lot of people have missed out on. Although, if you look at the comments or the reviews on IMDb, one guy thinks it's out to destroy humanity, and he's not even being ironic or funny. He's just angry. Chill out, dude. This is essentially about a character by the name of David who comes to his friend's house. The movie starts off with his friends, this guy and this girl who are in a really good relationship. They seem to work together really well. David comes a knocking on their door one night saying that his girlfriend has left him and he doesn't know where to stay. So they invite him in to stay. They have a decent night, And that night, David starts acting really fucking strange. Alex and Kate obviously try to deal with the situation the best that they can, but David is convinced that there's demonic monsters that are everywhere around him at all times. And he can see them at night, only in the dark the most. And when you see some of these creatures, you're gonna be like, holy shit, that's fucking unsettling. Now, there was a movie that came out shortly after, about 4 years after, directed by Adam Green, who did Hatchet, you know, that whole series and everything like that. He did a movie called Digging Up the Marrow with the guy from Twin Peaks, who's basically seeing creatures all over the place. That found footage film had some creatures in it that I really adored and really wanted to see more of. This one goes for gold. This one is like extremely dark, extremely unsettling. Some of the creature work and design in this movie remind me of stuff from like a Demi and Rugna film. It has always haunted me in a way that is like unsettling deep in the core of me, because in this movie, it's very claustrophobic and they do a lot of shots where the camera's kind of freehand held like a person in the room with these characters. And so when the lights go out, you're gonna see like arms and a body and like just light glistening off of this weird fucked up creature that you'll never get out of your brain. David starts to see more and more of these creatures and starts to go manic and crazy, running around with knives in the house, and things get really crazy very quickly. It's just really dark and demonic. And I don't know, I've never seen a movie do it as well as this. This movie will make you feel very claustrophobic. You'll see things in the dark that really panic you. Some of the acting in this film I feel is pretty decent. It is a British film, so the actors in the movie are speaking in an English accent, but it's really pretty damn good, and I really think it's very underrated. It's quite the gem in my personal opinion. Now, there are some people that just hate this movie because of the ending, and I understand, but honestly, what they do in the movie and the journey to the end is so magnificent. I don't give a shit about the ending, you know, leaving it open like they do. I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. It's almost an 8. It's like right there. It's in that sweet spot where it's not perfect, but I'll watch it again and again and again. I don't know why, but 7s or 7.5s, I tend to watch the most, so that's never a bad thing when I give a movie a score like that. Definitely a movie that I think you should check out before it disappears. I don't know why we're not seeing this online anywhere. You can pick it up on DVD. There's used copies and new copies on Amazon. I'll put a link down below. You can decide for yourself if you want a used copy or a new copy. That's entirely up to you. But if you trust me, I'd say it's pretty decent. But yeah, that's everything, guys, for this week. I've had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm working on 10 more videos that you should see that you missed last year, and I've also got another haul video that I'm working on, plus this bad boy behind me I'm trying to do an unboxing of for you guys. Stay on the lookout if you're looking for some new movies. I hope these ones might give you some ideas. Let me know what you liked in the comment section down below, which movies you'd like to check out or you're gonna write down. I would love to hear from you about that, and if you've seen any of them too. But until next time, thank you guys so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.